Welcome to Israel, where ancient tales and vibrant culture converge. In this video, we embark on an enchanting journey through the captivating city of Jaffa, immersing ourselves in its rich history and timeless beauty. 1 year ago today, we landed in Tel Aviv after an 11-hour flight. So just a bit of history about Israel. Israel is 8,550 square miles, 290 miles north to south. It's a 9-hour drive, and 85 miles east to west at its widest point. New Jersey is approximately 19,211 square kilometers, while Israel is approximately 21,937 square kilometers, making Israel 14% larger than New Jersey. In the north of the country, the mountains of Galilee constitute the highest part of Israel, reaching an elevation of 3,963 feet at Mount Meron. The Sea of Galilee lies 686 feet below sea level. The Dead Sea is 1,312 feet below sea level. It is the lowest point on the earth. There are 2 seasons: a cool, rainy winter from October to April, and a dry, hot summer from May to September. So our first day after getting through the Tel Aviv airport and on our way to the hotel, we stopped at Jaffa, also known as Joppa. So Jaffa or Joppa. Jaffa was named after Japheth, one of Noah's sons. This ancient city holds stories that echo through the ages. Here you can see the modern city of Jaffa in the distance. Looks a lot different than it did 2,000 years ago. Jaffa is the gate to the ancient world. This open-air amphitheater was renovated in 2008. The cornerstone was laid in 2006. As we wandered through the city's historical park, we couldn't help but be moved by the biblical connections. Jaffa is mentioned in the book of Jonah, where the prophet sought to flee from the Lord, but ultimately found himself embarking on a life-changing journey. In Jonah 1 verse 3, but Jonah ran from the Lord and headed for Tarshish. He went down to Joppa, where he found a ship bound for that port. After paying the fare, he went aboard and sailed for Tarshish to flee from the Lord. In Acts 9, verses 36 to 42, it says, in Joppa there was a disciple named Tabitha. She was always doing good and helping the poor. About that time she became sick and died. Lydia was near Joppa, so when the disciples heard that Peter was in Lydia, they sent 2 men to him and urged him, please come at once. Peter went with them, and when he arrived, he was taken upstairs to the room. Peter sent them all out of the room. Then he got down on his knees and prayed. Turning toward the dead woman, he said, Tabitha, get up. She opened her eyes, and seeing Peter, she sat up. He took her by the hand and helped her to her feet. Then he called for the believers, especially the widows, and presented her to them alive. This became known all over Joppa, and many people believed in the Lord. This here is a Franciscan church built in 1654, which was dedicated to Peter. In the late 18th century, the church was destroyed twice and rebuilt twice, and most recently renovated in 1903. It was here in Jaffa that Peter had his vision of clean and unclean meat, a pivotal moment in the early Christian faith. Jaffa's history predates even the famous tale of the Trojan horse, as told by Homer, by at least 2 centuries. Its significance is relevant in its mention in an ancient Egyptian letter dating back to 1440 BC. The story is of the conquest by Pharaoh Thutmose III. He told the people of Jaffa that the king was dead. He said he needed to go back and meet the new king. I'm going to leave all the food, the wine, and the camels here. The people of Jaffa were happy to receive all the food, so they were celebrating that night. They were eating all the food and drinking all the wine. Meanwhile, Thutmose's soldiers were hiding in the big jars that were on the camels. And that night, when the people were drunk, the soldiers came out, and that's how the people of Jaffa were conquered. Here is Jaffa's Gate of Faith, sculpted by Daniel Caffrey between the years of 1973 and 1975. It stands as a symbol of the promise of the Lord of Israel to the patriarchs, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Each pillar tells a tale of biblical significance, connecting us to the ancient stories of faith and destiny. The first pillar recounts the tale of the binding of Isaac. Abraham is seen kneeling on the ram and holding up his son Isaac. Isaac lies with his face, resembling Adam's, turned upward. The second pillar depicts Jacob's dream, where the land was promised to his offspring. Jacob rests on the land, and the stone is under his head. Above him are 2 angels, one ascending and one descending, facing opposite directions, and the rhythm of their wings creates an association with a ladder. And the top beam represents the realization and depicts the capture of Jericho. The priests surround the city of Jericho, holding horns, and are seen carrying the Ark of the Covenant. Other places in the Bible that mention Jaffa. In Joshua 19, verses 40 to 46. The 7th lot came out for the tribe of the people of Dan, with the territory over against Jaffa. 2 Corinthians 2:16. And we will cut all the logs from Lebanon that you need, and will float them as rafts by sea down to Jaffa. You can then take them up to Jerusalem. In Ezra chapter 3, verse 7. Then they gave money to the masons and carpenters, and gave food and drink and olive oil to the people of Sidon and Tyre, so that they would bring cedar logs by sea from Lebanon to Jaffa, as authorized by Cyrus, king of Persia. We heard the story of Medusa, the woman with snakes for hair, and anyone who looked at her was turned to stone. At that time, the people of Jaffa used to give one of the beautiful women to the monster of the sea. Perseus came looking for Medusa. He saw Andromeda, a beautiful lady tied to a post, but he did not come for her, so he kept going. He found Medusa and used a mirror so that she saw her reflection and was turned to stone. He cut off her head and returned to Jaffa. Just as the sea monster was heading for Andromeda, Perseus used the stone head of the slain Medusa on the monster. He was transformed into stone. If you dive down, you will see lots of stones at the entrance of Jaffa's port. This is what gives rise to this story. Walking from the park across to the historical site is this walking bridge, and it has each of the 12 different zodiac signs on the bridge, and it's a wishing bridge. If you wish in front of your zodiac sign, your wish is supposed to come true. As the sun began to set over Jaffa's ancient streets, we marveled at the city's beauty and its deep roots in history. From the myth of Medusa to the tales of conquest and divine intervention, Jaffa is a place where legends come to life. This is a scene across the street from our hotel in Tiberias. Here it is the next morning. From my hotel window, this is the picture. We had lots and lots of food. So when we went, the hotel provides a breakfast buffet and a dinner buffet. And you have to purchase your own lunch when you're out on the tour. But for breakfast, this is what we had. And the first hotel had this honeycomb that you could get honey from. The others had honey, but not in the honeycomb. And you can see cereal there. Next, they had hot food of all kinds, vegetables and meats and eggs, and then also dates and nuts and dried fruit. Then we have their cheeses and dips. They're on the left, and then a lot more hot food, casseroles and type stuff, breakfast casseroles on the right. And then here we have more hot food, meats and fish and stuff on the left there, and on the right is the salad bar. And this is breakfast. This is our breakfast menu. So different salads and vegetables and stuff there for breakfast. And here we have bread. We have dry breads on the left and sweet breads on the right, including some sweet croissants and waffles in packages there, and then blintzes, different kind of blintzes. And then last they had breakfast desserts. So these are all different kinds of cakes and stuff that you could get if you wanted to. It was too early for me to eat breakfast, to eat desserts for breakfast. But this was an example of the buffet we had in our first hotel. But each of the hotels had excellent breakfast and dinner buffets, all you can eat. Join me in the next video as our adventure takes us deeper into the heart of Israel. From the majestic landscapes to the sacred sites, each day promises new wonders. Stay tuned for more captivating moments in our journey.